Hey, we are on live. Relationship Thursdays in the house.
We can give y'all a second to come on in here.
Yes. Next, how was your day today? Boo.
Monday was good, babe. How about you? We need to adjust this right here. Or push it back, son.
What's going on, good people? Come on in the room. We see you as you're coming into the room. What's up, Erska? As you're coming into the room, of course, shout out where you are watching us from. Let us know where you're representing. We want to know. We want to hear it. Where are you representing? Tell us. I see you, Carol. I see you. Tonight's going to be a good night, as always, because we're going to be talking about relationships. This is Relationship Thursday. I am Iyana Ma'at, and I'm one half of that dynamic duo. I do think we're rather dynamic.
We are, babe.
That is Ayize and Iyana. I see you, ATL. This is my husband, Ayize.
Yes, indeed. This is my beautiful wife, my amazing wife, my incredible, spectacular, divine compliment, my best friend. Why are you making that face like that? Like,
I'm listening.
Okay. This is my boo thing. My high school sweetheart.
Oh, yeah.
The love of my life, Ian, my wife.
Yeah, my baby. You get me all warm and fuzzy over here. Oh, my goodness. So as you join us tonight, you know that this is a dialogue. This is a conversation. It's not a one-way situation. We learn just as much from you. And all of us can share and take away from one another some of the things that we drop tonight. So please share your thoughts. If you disagree, you don't understand, you got a good example, you want us to answer a question, you're like, hey, wait a minute, we're paying attention to the comments, and we definitely want to make sure that this is rich and productive for everybody. There's something about the word submit. Submit. That thing right there is a trigger word for some people. Oh, like it does something.
Yeah, it does.
It does. And yet that's what we're talking about tonight.
Surrender,
No, surrender is a little different. At least from my perspective.
It's a little bit more palatable. It's more digestible.
Surrender. I feel like if I have to surrender, then I'm kind of surrendering. But if I'm submitting, I might be like this. Surrender, submit. And you know, there are pros and cons to that for many people, but tonight we really want to talk about the relationship roles that are important for healthy, productive unions, for people who are really serious about what they're building. And understand that, you know, it's never all the way left or all the way right. It's never like, I ain't submitting, that's from old school, whatever. Like, that's just not how it works. Do you submit on your job? Do you submit with other friends of yours around certain things? You know, submitting can look like negotiating. Submitting can look like talking and dialoguing and figuring some things out. Submitting can look like surrendering, you know, not knowing and trusting the process, right? Do we do that sometimes even in relationship with our children? You know, they get to a certain age, you just got to submit to the process of their evolution and loosen the grip. So submission is a natural part of life. Submission is a natural part of our maturation in terms of understanding that it's not a nasty word. I know some of y'all might be thinking it's a nasty word, but it really isn't. But it can be perverted. The word submission, the idea of submission, and people's understanding of what it means to submit can be perverted. And what I mean by that is it can be taken out of context, it can be twisted and manipulated so that it becomes something and represents, and for often many people in our society, it means something completely different than what it should. And you know, it gets a bad rap. So we want to talk tonight, not just about submission in and of itself. We want to talk about the roles. Are you submitting to the roles that, you know, come with the territory of being in relationship. And being in a good, healthy, strong relationship. So again, if you're just joining us, let us know where you are coming from. I see, I think it's Kadria from Virginia and Devon. Hey, Devon, always coming through, representing Greensboro. Of course, I see Fine 29 in the house. Hey, and KB representing. And then Carol representing South Carolina, Terry from Texas, and Erska. I saw you earlier, but yes, representing Northeast DC. So Rhonda, Chester, Virginia, we see you. And over here on YouTube, we see you, our brother Bryant, we see you. And Wake Forest, North Carolina is in the house. We see you, 36 Soybean. So we're going to have a good conversation tonight. And we're going to take some things and straighten some things out about the different roles and relationships.
Yeah, and I think that it's important before we begin. We always like to ask a question to get the audience engaged. The question that I want to ask you all is that when you hear the term relationship roles, when you hear the term relationship roles, what single word comes to your mind when you hear relationship roles? What word comes to mind?
Relationship roles.
Yeah. What word comes to mind? And the reason why I'm asking that particular question is because, hold on, babe. Hold on.
You can, I'm just clicking over real quick. You can finish your statement and I'll be back over.
The reason why I'm asking that particular question is because, I think that roles in and of themselves, they conjure up certain emotions. They conjure up certain feelings. And so Brian Bro over here on YouTube, he says cooperation. Okay, Brian, I see you. Cooperation. Let me see what we got over here on Facebook.
Cooperation.
And so, okay, y'all are still coming in here. So cooperation is one of the words that came up. I see somebody giving some, Janelle. What's up, Janelle? I'm giving some examples of what relationship roles should look like. She says cooking and cleaning for a woman and the man working. Okay, you gave more than one word, Janelle, but that's all good.
Roles, yeah.
And so, I'm asking that question again because it conjures up certain emotions. Ersko over here said control. When you think about roles, you think about control.
That's real.
And I actually, in doing the work with some of the couples that we do work with. What's up, Masha and Nawasha? I'm not sure who that is on the live stream tonight. That's our good fam out of New Jersey, relationship experts as well.
Hey, y'all.
Masha and Nawasha Edu. They said core beliefs. Somebody also said oppressive when they think about relationship roles.
Core beliefs.
And then we've also heard, too, when I work with couples, liberation or liberating. When it comes to relationship roles. So it does conjure up a host of different emotions, and depending upon what your background is, depending upon what your emotional baggage may be, what your reference point is, you're going to think about roles and you're going to think about this live stream in a particular way. I see from Kadria, communication, friendship, peace, love, and happiness. Okay. These are all good. Before we begin to discuss how you all should show up in reference to relationship roles, I do want to lift up that we went to Psychology Today. And on Psychology Today, they were talking about what is your role in looking at two roles in particular, and what role do you predominantly operate from? Do you operate from the parent role, or do you operate from the child role in your relationship?
Ooh, that's
and what
touchy.
They suggest is that in relationship dynamics, people have a tendency to flow from one or two of these or one of these spaces. And as a result, what ends up happening is that there ends up being tension in a relationship when somebody tries to rise up to operate from the other space or step down to operate from the other space. And so again, if you're assuming a particular position, when it comes to relationship roles, depending upon whether or not you're operating from the parental role or the child role, versus operating from an equal role, it leads to relationship tension. And so, again, I see Janelle, she put child when we talk about roles. Again, when it comes to this whole relationship piece and roles, you want to make sure that you're operating from a clear space and, if anything, from an equal space, because if not, you're going to run into some serious problems, y'all. Serious problems.
Yes. All right, so we're ready to get started, and we're just going to move through these this evening. As you look about the different roles, but anything that comes up for you that's negative or that's resistant, or you're just like, I don't know about that, I'm not feeling it, you need to take note of that. So for my note takers, write it down, Put it in your phone, whatever. If you're watching on your phone, don't put it in. I mean, pay attention. But you really want to make sure that you take note of the things that make you say, because those are the areas that can reveal something more to you about what um, what you need to work on. What you need to work on. So the first role tonight, you want me to go first? You're going to go first.
Go first.
The first role tonight that everyone really needs to make sure that you submit to in your relationship, and there's always balance to this, of course, but the first one will probably not be surprising for you, and it may be controversial for some because you've heard us say something different at other times, seemingly, and that is the role of best friend. The role of best friend.
So you're gonna have to qualify that and make that thing real
make
plain,
it clear.
because people gonna have issues with
They're gonna
that.
say, wait a minute, right? Because we have said time and time again, your husband does not have to be your best friend. Your wife does not necessarily need to be your best friend, and it is out of pocket for you to sometimes put demands on them for them to show up for you in a certain way. This is not a woman. I am not a man. And so we've got to be able to, make some adjustments and get our own sense of get a life, what I'm saying? Get your own community and circle and so forth outside of your partnership. But here's what's important to know about the role of best friend. And hey, Anitra, we see you. The role of the best friend. When you think about a best friend, a true best friend, not, BFF, because, we've been friends, forever and ever. And so we just call each other that, right? But when you really examine a relationship, that person hasn't showed up for you as a best friend. And you probably haven't showed up for them in that way either. It's just something that y'all have said. Not that type of best friend.
Yeah.
But a best friend is someone who is, in many ways, the person who allows you to be yourself. They allow you to tell them the things that are closest to your heart, your secrets. They allow you to do that, and the best friend who really cares about you, and who and of course, because if they're truly a best friend, they really care about you and they love you and they get you. They know how to let you be, let you flow, let you express yourself, and not judge you, high five you, and then sneak in but let me holler at you though for a second, because I'm kind of concerned, I don't know, you might want to think about this a little bit. I'm not sure. And when they give that to you, it doesn't feel like when your mama does it and she judging you. It doesn't feel like other folks who are not necessarily able to get you. So they are there to allow you to be you, a true best friend. And so every partner, every couple should have a component of their relationship where you are in the role of best friend, where you are not there because we're operating in different roles at different times. You are not there to do anything other than that. And oftentimes that's where we get confused. And so I think it's important for us to lift this thing up right now off the top. This doesn't mean that you are all of these roles. The roles we're getting ready to go through and that we're going through right now, you're not all of these things all of the time. You have to be able to use your discernment and your emotional intelligence and your intuition, right? And your connection. You got to be able to use that to discern what is it that I need to be for my partner right now. And when you don't have discernment and you don't know how to pick up one of these roles and step into it, then you will fail your partner and in essence fail your relationship, because you are used to operating out of certain things most of the time that are just comfortable for you, but it is not growing the relationship. And certainly you ain't growing either. So I love what our comrades say here. Best friend equals acceptance, intimacy, reflection. The most powerful word they just dropped is acceptance. Because acceptance means I get to see you, capital S, capital E, capital E. I see you and I accept you. We say all the time, the person you get when you are coming together in relationship and you are deciding to be with that one forever and ever, people are going to grow and stretch and evolve. But you better be ready to take them just like that for the rest of your life. That's the mindset you need to have, because we have to be willing to accept people where they are, and they have to be able to grow and evolve at their own pace in the way that only they are supposed to. And that ain't got nothing to do with me. That's his path. That's between him and the creator, and I'm on my growing path. So you got to be a best friend. You got to be a best friend, and you got to know when you need to step into that role. Certainly you don't want to step into another role that's not appropriate at a certain time when you need to be a best friend. Okay?
So let me pull back for a second. And
we're going to begin. Okay.
What?
We're going to take 25 hours to get through these, because you're going to...
No, I just want to say this. I think that it's important for us to
I just talked a long time.
just establish the context in which we're operating. Yes. So, and I'm doing this based off of a comment that I just saw where it said "be you, be you, BEYOU."
Oh yeah, yeah. That was
It's
Khadijah.
important that you be you. And you know, when it comes to looking at relationship roles, I think that you really need to grasp the understanding that to be in relationship means that you're functioning, you're operating, you're flowing through different and from different roles. And so again, I really want you to marinate and just sit with that for a second. So some of you all may be in new relationships right now. And so it was just you, and regardless of what relationship that you engage in, whether it be a work relationship, whether it be an intimate partner relationship, a parent-child relationship, to be in relationship means that you have to assume different roles. And so it's practically impossible to be in a relationship without the existence of you participating or playing some type of role at some point in time. And so for those people out there that just be like, I'm tired, I don't want to deal with this no more. I don't want to do this anymore. I'm frustrated. I'm tired. Why I got to be this for everybody? Why can't I just be this for myself? As Khadijah said, she said, be you. It's normal to have those feelings. And I'm not saying that you're saying that, Khadijah, but we all at times, even myself, you know, I just want to be like, I just need my space. Leave me alone. I don't feel like being Baba right now. I don't feel like being hubby right now. I don't feel like being friend right now. I just want to, you know, just kick back and just be me, just be with me, be by myself, and just be left alone. And sometimes, truth be told, when it comes to roles that you perform in your relationship, that you operate from in your relationship, it can become overwhelming. Has anybody out there felt overwhelmed based off of their relationship roles? If y'all have felt overwhelmed, let me see some hearts, some likes or something to let me know that I'm not the only one.
My.
I love this woman right here dearly. This is my queen right here. But I feel overwhelmed. You know, I feel overwhelmed. I feel stressed out sometimes in our relationship. She get on my last nerve in this relationship. When it comes to being a father of 5 children, like I feel overwhelmed, and I just want to put that thing down for a second. I'm blessed that I got her in my life, that I got this queen right here, and we're doing this thing together. I'm blessed. I'm fortunate, because if it was just me, man, I don't know what I would be creating when it comes to our children. So again, you know, I'm lifting this up because I think that it's important that when it comes to the ideal relationship roles, that you know that to be in relationship means that you're going to have some roles that you're in. All right, so we can operate from that understanding. It's that fundamental level of, please go ahead and share.
Yes, please do.
The second one, y'all, that we want to lift up is that when it comes to relationship roles, the space that you want to operate from, or what you need from your partner, and what you sometimes need to be for your partner, is the teacher. You need to be the teacher. And so in order to be the teacher, what does that require of you? That you be taught. So you got to put yourself in position to get educated, put yourself in position to know thyself. And in doing that, you can bring some information, some enlightenment, some insight to your partner. But first, you got to be willing to be taught.
So then there's 2 parts to that role.
There is.
Student.
You
got to be willing to be a student, and you got to be willing to be a teacher.
Yes.
The student of your spouse. And if you're always the teacher, you don't want nobody to tell you nothing. That's a problem. And some of us know that's just how we are. But you got to be able to have some discipline around how you show up, because you do need to be taught sometimes. It needs to be equal, you know, in terms of how that thing is flowing. And you know how you talked about the fact that, you know, relationship dynamics, a lot of times in relationships, there's one person who's kind of operating in a parent role, taking care of this, doing this, given direction. And a lot of times it's around particular things. So maybe around particular areas. When it comes to the finances, you know, one person is kind of, you know, when we say parent and child, it just makes it easy for all of us to understand, you know, who's doing the following and who's doing the leading, right? Who's doing the directing and who's kind of making sure they cover what they're being directed to do. But it's not meant to kind of make anybody inferior, okay? It should be an equal relationship. But when we think about that, then that means you're supposed to be a teacher and you're supposed to be a student. You got to ask yourself, where do I learn from my partner? In what area of the relationship? Am I a student? Do y'all hear that? In what area of your relationship are you clearly a student? This is where your partner teaches you. In what area of the relationship are you a teacher? Or should you be being a teacher? And perhaps you're not doing that. Perhaps you are. You know, are you teaching all the time? don't nobody want to hear your lesson because you run your mouth too much. What is it? So everybody should be able to answer that. And if you're struggling with that, then that means that there's room for you to be able to.
Yeah, and I like what Brian Bro says. He says that I study my wife to get a better understanding. Sometimes I fail, but I just study more.
I like
that's dedication. That's perseverance right there. Yeah, that's really important. So again, you want to humble yourself to be a student of your spouse. I study this woman daily. I mean, to the degree to where I'm anticipating, based off of this synchronicity that we got, I'm anticipating her flow, her moves, and sometimes I get it wrong. More than often, I get it right. That's the reason why we connected the way that we connected right now. And that's the reason why we can continue to be connected the way that we connected.
Let's say that.
Yeah, exactly.
You just were like, and we're going to continue to be connected.
And what? That. Yes. And what? And so, you gave me the fist bump.
Yeah, I was feeling you right there. Like, okay, I got you.
And so again, it's important for you to study your spouse, and it's important for you to be a teacher as well. But in order to teach, you got to be willing to learn, and you teach what you learn. Sometimes that's the best way to teach. You teach what you need to learn.
That's right. That's absolutely right. So if you're just joining us tonight, we're talking about submitting to the various roles that you will find yourself operating in your relationship if you are in a relatively healthy relationship. And if,
you on the spot.
And if you're, whatever, honey, I flow with that off the cuff. So you taught me humility. You taught me how to observe, how to listen, how to pay attention to my surroundings, how to pay attention to people. You've strengthened and increased my intuitive abilities just by watching you. And you taught me how to be like water, how to be a cool breeze, because you are a cool breeze. You know what I mean? I am naturally a little more feisty. And if I'm feeling something, then I'm, the more excited I get, the more elevated I get, and not necessarily even in a negative way, but just more expressive. You know what I mean? And you are really the opposite in that you can just be even Steven, and you just stay steady the whole time. And I have watched you do that in conversations. Sometimes they're agitating, and sometimes they're not agitating. And you're able to, you don't waver. And so, how sometimes you want people to understand where you're coming from. You're trying to maybe influence, or you don't even necessarily recognize unconsciously that you want them to get you. And this brother right here, you, my dear sweetie poo, you just do you. You just be cool. You just cool like you just flow with it. You don't have to go up and down. You're just steady. And it provides, and let's just think about this. I just want to say this real quick. When you are steady, and when a person has steady energy, it allows for the teaching, it allows for the communication, the engagement, the connection to happen much more fluidly, in a much easier way, because they're not all over the place. And so it's what you practice, in therapy as a counselor. If you're dealing with clients or kids or people, and they're like, escalated and all over the place. Any of my mental health folks out here, right? You practice how to be even, so that you don't, trigger them or continue to escalate the situation. And you're like just a natural model for that. You're just a natural model for that. Whereas I'm kind of right. I know how to do it now because I've been practicing this for some time, but I certainly didn't come like that. You came into the world like that. And so I have learned quite a bit from you in terms of how to be a cool breeze on a summer day. Cool breeze, be like water. I love what Khadijah has put out here. At first, let me say Tyrone said, my wife has taught me patience and discipline. That's good. And the thing that your partner teaches you irritates you. Y'all know what I'm talking about, because he's cool breezy, at the time when I'm trying to get something, him just being so, I'm like, do you understand what I'm saying? Do you feel me? You with me? And he just like that. Right. So you may be agitated, and that's a good marker for knowing that's an area where you need to grow. That's an area where you need to get competent, because we know our partners come to elevate us, and they usually have within them some things that we do not have, and that we need to grow within us. Khadijah says, but how do you do that when the person doesn't even speak up? I know. I already know that, but Marsha on the washer, we already know. How do you do that when the person doesn't speak up? So we might have read it late, Khadijah, because I'm not sure How do you do what? I'm not sure exactly what you're asking. So give us some little clarification to let you know, and then we'll come back to that. We're gonna move right along. We see you on YouTube.
Well, I didn't say how. I mean, I think it would be unfair for me to ask you that question. I'm surprised you didn't ask me the question. You looking at the time, huh?
No. That's what I'm teaching you. I'm teaching you time management. Yeah, right. Because I'm not that great at that. But anyway, go ahead.
So for me, I mean, I'll take it way back to high school. So for those who don't know, we high school sweethearts, and one of the first lessons that I learned from my wife.
This is a joke or this for real?
No, this is serious. I remember being in the basement of my parents' house, and after you sharing with me your SAT scores and
are you about to go on me right now?
No, I'm just saying.
His were better than mine. I'm not the best test taker.
Me sharing mine. We got into a little, disagreement about something. It wasn't about SAT scores now.
I don't remember.
A disagreement in terms of perspective. I forget what it was around.
It wasn't about SATs.
This was like 24 years ago.
A long time ago.
But what you taught me way back when. Okay. You think that I'm playing or something?
No, go ahead. I'm listening.
What you taught me was that things don't have to be black or white, and that I need to embrace the gray.
Yes.
And so I remembered that, and it was like an eye opener for me, because I think at that particular point in my life, 17 years old, I had needed there to be some definition, some clear and definitive things made known, made plain, and I wasn't up for the ambiguity. I really wanted the clarity. And so my wife, what she said is that sometimes it's not black or white, it's gray. And she was my girlfriend at the time, but that was eye-opening for me. So that's like, one of them foundational and fundamental principles that, I carry around in reference to how I engage everybody. In the work that we do with couples, in the work that we do with individuals, in the work that we do with families. I'm always looking for the gray and trying to highlight the gray and emphasize the value of the gray based off of what you shared with me.
And that's fabulous, because you're not a fan of gray.
Yeah. Yeah. And so that's one thing. And then the second thing, what I would say, baby, is that when it came to what you taught me of the many lessons, is that you've taught me to have faith.
Oh, you never told me that.
To believe, to have faith and believe when I couldn't predict or see the outcome. Like, and a lot of this is in reference to our oldest son, but even in terms of just your walk, me watching you, has inspired me so much. Like, you've taught me to have faith. Like, I mean, when I question myself, when I question certain things, we had a meeting last Friday in reference to our son. I didn't like the news. But what I went back to was, the lesson that you taught me, like, just believe. Mm-hmm. And it's going to be okay. It's going to be okay.
Don't get me teary-eyed over this joint.
That's been a major one right there.
Oh, I never knew that. Thank you for sharing that with me. Mm-hmm. I really do appreciate that. That warms my heart. All right, guys. We're going to bring it back in. We had a little moment right there. But if you're watching or you're just joining us tonight, we're talking about submitting to the roles in your relationship. There are many roles that you should be occupying. If you find yourself only in one or two places, or perhaps just one space, occupying one kind of way of being with your partner, then 9 times out of 10, you ain't really doing what you're supposed to do. Mm-hmm. I mean, for real, you should be uncomfortable sometimes, really uncomfortable sometimes, in your flow other times, kind of awkward, right? Like, you should be feeling a range of things as it relates to relating to your partner, because you're operating in roles that are familiar to you, that are roles that bring out your strengths, and also roles that are unfamiliar to you and that agitate you and play up your vulnerabilities and some things that make you uncomfortable. And these roles will do that for all of us, based on our personalities and that kind of thing. So the next role we want to highlight is this. You should be in some way, shape, or form playing the role of guardian. Guardian. Oh, really? What is that? I just want to say it again, guardian. Because I know some women out there like, hold up, wait a minute. Guardian, I only got 3 kids. 1, 2, 3. I ain't responsible for no grown man. Okay, look, let me be clear with you. Guardian means in many ways it flows in conjunction with protector. So when you think about protector and we think about traditional kinds of definitions of what men should show up looking like and acting like and being like in a relationship, we think of protector or guardian, right? But we don't necessarily always think about that for women in terms of just some of those traditional stereotypical kinds of roles. But women and men, everybody should be occupying this space where you are very cognizant about certain times in the life of your relationship, in the life of your family, where your partner may be vulnerable, where they may be going through some things, they're dealing with some stuff. They're in a space of vulnerability. They are developing certain things. They have a lot of stress on them. Whatever it is, they may be wrong about some stuff that they are dealing with and how they're flowing with it, but they are in a place where they need protection. They need protection. They need you to keep them. We hear that saying a lot. I am my brother's keeper. My brother's keeper. And every now and then you might hear, I'm my sister's keeper. Are you not your spouse's keeper? Are you not the person in some way, shape, or form who is obligated to keep your partner when they are vulnerable or when they need protection, when they are in trouble? Does that mean that you are codependent? Does that mean you go covering up their stuff? They done stab, I'm gonna go real extreme. They done stabbed the neighbor down the street. And you done run and you cleaned up the blood and threw the body in the water. You know what I'm saying? This real extra, right? And you done bring them in the house and don't say nothing to nobody. Now, we ain't talking about no foolishness.
It's just an example, y'all.
This is just an example, and this will be a bad one, right? This is not what we're talking about. But what we're talking about is the ability to discern when your partner just needs someone to stand in the gap for them. Has anybody ever stood in the gap for you? And why are we able to do that for children and for our girlfriend? And we understand it when we hear somebody else, but we don't think about that when it comes to our partner. And so I love it. Kadria says, I think I'm my partner's superwoman and he's my Superman. Yeah. And so there's these negative connotations that we put on things and these stereotypical kinds of definitions we give to the man is the protector. I am also a protector. I am the queen of this house. I am the queen of this castle. I protect not only my children, I protect my husband. I protect him with wise counsel. I protect him with rest. I protect him with nourishing food. I protect him with saying, you know what, you want me to handle that? Are you good? I'm going to ask you if you need help, because I know it may be difficult sometimes for you to ask for help, Black man. So I'm going to ask you, do you need me to? Not because I'm trying to interfere, but because I just want to support you. So protection can look a number of ways, and that's how you want to show up in your relationship at times, because your partner needs it. And that goes both ways. I'm talking from my perspective as a woman, but that goes both ways. And I think I just wanted to play up how we can also do that as women, because I think it's very much, understood in many ways how a man, my husband's very clear about his role as the protector of this family. But I have my own obligations as well to protect.
I mean, that's a great point, babe.
So really guardian, that's what the point was. You're the guardian.
I think that, we as men, we do have difficulty sometimes humbling ourselves and allowing ourselves to be in a space where we accept the protection of our partner. And it's difficult, but my wife is absolutely right. I need her. I need her protection. I need her covering, her guardianship, and I need that guidance. And I wouldn't be who I am and where I am today if it wasn't for her and her role as a protector in this relationship and how she's shown up that way. And so, again, protection is not just you putting a fence around somebody. Protection is about your foresight. It's about your foresight and your ability to assist somebody in forging ahead based off of the insight that you're able to give them. And so, my wife, she's given me a lot. She's given me a lot. And so her experience and her imparting her wisdom based off of her experience has protected me in so many ways.
Now, I just want to say this real quick. Do y'all remember this video What was that video that came out with the the pastor?
John Gray, and
Y'all remember that video that came
yeah,
out that he was interviewed and he talked about? I don't remember the exact quote. I wish I would have thought about it
yeah, about a
before we came
lid.
on.
About he said that she's my lid, or she's my.
Oh, she's my lid. She's covered me, and
Yeah.
you know, basically, he talked about. This is again John Gray, national, nationwide known, whatever, pastor, and his wife, and him talking about
Aster or Ashter.
Yeah, we bad. We don't even know the names, but yeah, something like that. Some of y'all know. Type it in. But she got a lot of pushback. Oh no, he got a lot of pushback. Because he said something that talked about her almost giving birth to him.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And you know, keeping him from himself, you know, in terms of some of her insight and her what she did to help maintain him. And the internet lit up. Y'all know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
The internet lit up, and people. Oh, Aventer. Thank you, Shawanda. Aventer. Yes. And I'm curious as to what some of you all think. Yes, Fine 29, Aventer and John Gray. And so the internet lit up, and people were, you know, there were one camp of people like, that was just amazing. It's just the, you know, beautiful commitment they have. And, you know, that she covered him in the midst of him, you know, because he said I was a boy and, you know, I wasn't ready, you know, and all that kind of stuff. And then there was another camp that's like, hold up, like this is reinforcing some of these images and some of particularly, I don't know if it's particularly in the African American community, but I can speak from that perspective, you know, that women, you know how they say women, we nurture our boys, we raise our girls. These girls are independent and strong and covering and taking care of everything. And then the boys are just kind of like, help me out and keep me covered and, you know, dependent and so forth. And so that, you know, why is she covering him and dealing with him? He's supposed to be covering her. It was all of this stuff blowing up on the internet. And I thought it was so interesting because it raised up and triggered for so many people, so many things. But the reality is, wherever you fall, the reality is, we all come with our stuff. Mm-hmm. And everybody is challenged to make sure that you are paying attention to the stuff that's being presented to you in your relationship and make sure that you are taking care of yourself. Because if you don't take care of yourself first, there's no way for you to be able to discern whether or not you are taking care of your partner or you're being codependent with your partner. Mm-hmm. There's no way for you to be able to do that with your children and model for them correctly, right? But we all got our stuff. So I was kind of like, I understand where people are coming from. I know if folks are coming from in terms of some of this, like, that don't seem right, you know.
But did I just do that though? Did I just do what he did?
You didn't just do what he did. Well, I don't know what y'all think. I don't think you just did that, but I think it has the same flavor where when people share their vulnerability, and particularly when we think about gender stereotypes and we think about men and women and what we want to see, we don't like that. And the reality is that we have some particular and unique kinds of issues in our community as Black folks, mm-hmm. you know, and we know if we just go back to slavery, we ain't gonna stay here too long, y'all. Just bear with us and get a lesson real quick. If you go back to slavery, we know that men have been put in positions of not having power and being, emasculated, and women have been put into positions of kind of standing, you know, right here to guard and make sure everything is okay, right? And so we know things have been twisted, and that relates to our history in terms of not being in right position. So we know that all is there, but it's never, as you said earlier, is never black or white. The reality is that I need you to cover me as a man. I need you to cover me as a woman. You know what I'm saying? I need you to get my back. And if we are going to be more committed to the ideas that we see in movies or from some other person or from a book that we read or from somebody who stood on the pulpit and told you this is what it's supposed to be, versus being in a relationship with your partner and paying attention to who they are, what they need, who you are, and what you need, you don't need to look outside of you for anything. Everything you need is within you to be able to discern what you need for your growth and what you need to do in your relationship. So it's not black and white, but I just wanted to lift that up because I think people sometimes get it twisted.
Yeah, so that's the gray Brian area. Bro said that's the gray area yes. right there. And thank you, Marsha and Awasha. They said, no, you didn't do that, bro. You know, because I was thinking like, damn, did I just like?
I mean, but why are you even saying like, damn, like this? What did you do? Was it bad? But I know you, when you saw it, you was kind of like,
yeah, I had an issue with what I saw.
So
I
did.
really did. I
was
had an
like,
issue with it. And I actually pointed the issue out to my wife. And so now here I am talking on this live stream right here, and I'm like, am I sounding like him? Like, I'm starting to question myself. But thank you, Mansho and Nawasha. Thank you for helping me to know that I wasn't showing up like he was showing up. But in any event, we also only heard a snippet from him.
That's right.
And he's more than just that particular snapshot of what it is that he said. So
yes.
So cool. So
if you're just joining us,
if you're just joining us,
yes,
please share.
Please share. We're wrapping up and getting to the end of the live stream tonight, where we are talking about the roles in your relationship and the things that you need to submit to, the roles that you need to submit to. And if some of these things are just foreign to you, then you got some work to do, because everybody should flow in and out of these things at different times, like a samurai. What is it?
What? Like, I don't know it, bro.
Well, you should
like a what?
I don't know, but I'm trying to go. You're always trying to jump. You should flow in and out, like you're doing.
Doing what?
Like you're doing capoeira.
Okay.
Or Tai Chi or something. So you should be able to flow. That's the
let me lift this one up, y'all. So,
I mean, I have one more, and then we'll be done.
So a relationship role, and this one right here might get a bit touchy. And I'm lifting this up based off of a video that I sent you last night. So the missus and I, we had a conversation. So what I would say is that the relationship role right here is really revolving around intimacy. And what?
You keep shaking.
Okay. Revolving around intimacy. And so what I want to say is that, I don't know what kids we got around, so I'm going to say F buddy.
You're talking real low. I know.
F buddy. Last night, I sent my wife a video. And the night before that, we happened to, y'all know Tank, right? We were listening to his song, When We, F. And so we were listening to the song. And last night, I sent my wife a video, and I was like, yo, Tank on something else right here. And I can't recall what the
it's like dirty something.
Yeah, dirty. I can't.
Dirty words,
so the song was titled "Dirty."
Dirty talk.
And when I listened to the lyrics of the song, so again, what I'm saying is that this particular role right here is a fuck buddy. That's the role that I'm talking about right here. So you have to be willing to be freaky, to be intimate with your partner, but go there to spaces that push you beyond your limits, push him beyond his limits, and y'all got to be willing to explore. And so if you're not willing to explore, then it can be, it can inhibit the relationship and put this boundary and these barriers around a relationship that prevent y'all from going to the next level. And so, and listening to Tank, some of his lyrics, y'all, and if you've paid attention to the song When We Fuck and Dirty, if you listen to those lyrics, some of it sounds a bit aggressive. And so I said to my wife, like, I mean, is this really appropriate in the Me Too era? Like, I mean, especially considering like the rights of women and some of this stuff be like real aggressive. So is this appropriate? And so again, when I say that one of the roles in a relationship is to be that F buddy for your partner, what they're saying is that it's about going to that next level, going to that freaky, intimate, vulnerable, unexplored, willing to explore space that allows you all to have that heightened sense of intimacy. And so I want to hear from you all, whether or not, if you can recall, if you can think about the lyrics in the song, whether or not that's too much. Is that too much? Is that crossing a line? Now, of course, it's going to be individual based off of your historical experiences and whatever reference point you come from, but it's it's some aggressive stuff that's up in there. And so some people might like that, some people might not. And so I'm seeing over here on YouTube like, yes. And then Michael is like, let the church say amen. Shawanda like agreed it's another necessary part of growing in vulnerability and intimacy. So it seems like, people are feeling that. Carmen is like, I like that song. The real and the raw. And so I tread lightly around that because again, people have different experiences that and his language can trigger certain things. It's aggressive, it's assertive,
But he said something about give me permission.
Give me permission. That's in that one song.
I just need to hear that. Yeah, for permission, and I'm like, okay, everything else.
But in Dirty, you ain't listened to the song yet. I told you to listen to it. Maybe we can listen to it tonight.
Okay.
You said you want that massage, right?
Yes.
Okay. So again, you got to be willing to go there with your partner, sexually, intimately, and explore new heights. That's the role you got to play.
Yeah. And then, getting warmed up, you got to be able to step into the role of coach. Coach. Mm-hmm. Coach. You got to be willing to coach your partner. Now, you can be all kinds of coaches. And you can be a coach just not wanted. Because I know that's right, Carmen. Don't tread lightly. It's for grown folks. That's wrong. I mean, that's right. It is for grown folks. But then Devon, not a fan. Mm-hmm. So look, you need to be a coach for your partner. There are goals that I have personally, professionally, short-term, long-term. There are things that my husband is working on, has been working on, is going to work on. There are long-term things that we are really, really trying to build for our family. There are things that I've been working on for years that only he knows about. There are things that he's been working on for a long time that only I know about. And some of the barriers and some things that we've encountered have to do with our own personal development, have to do with our own social, emotional kind of makeup, have to do with our own issues, sometimes around discipline and sometimes around being willing to receive feedback or doing something differently, coming out of our comfort zone. You know what? When you have access to a person in that way, when you have the ability to get the fullness of a person in that way, then you also are obligated to teach and share and coach what you know to be true. Because I'm telling you, and I know this to be the truth for you all who are in committed relationships and are married, what he does well, 9 times out of 10, it's not my strong point. There are places where we come together well. This is one of them, right? What I do well, not always his strong point. And so there's insight that I have that only I can give him in the way that I can give him, because I have such access to the fullness of this man and what he's working through and dealing with. And so the same for him. He can coach me a particular kind of way. The thing that you have to really pay attention to in terms of coaching is this. When we have clients, when we're trying to assess coaching style, we come to our clients and we tell them this is kind of our style. We keep it 100. We keep it real. If I think you're like bullshit, I'm going to kind of tell you that, right? But I want to establish enough of a rapport with you that I have permission to do that. Mm-hmm. But we give them a lay of the land in terms of how we flow. But then we ask, what is really important for you? Or tell us what is a trigger for you? What's really uncomfortable for you? What would be disrespectful for you, right? We want to get a sense of that, because some of the ways that I might flow or the ways that he might flow are maybe triggering or make somebody shut down. And so there is the opportunity for you in your relationship to be yourself and to coach your partner, to be on the sideline saying, come on, you can do this. Come on, don't go back into that place where you get mad and you shut down and you don't do nothing for 2-3 weeks. Don't do that. You're going to set yourself back. All you got to do right now is just get up and keep moving. Come on. No. I hear you. I know you're upset. I know they hurt your feelings. But right now, I just need you to press through, because I know you can do it. And now, we're going to go out to dinner 2 weeks from now when you're beyond this point, right? Because you have access to them in that way. You can coach them that way. But in order to do that effectively, you do need to know who your partner is. And you do need to know what would be triggering, what would be taken as disrespectful. I've said this over and over again. Early on in our relationship, my husband told me on a regular basis,
you're disrespectful.
You're disrespectful. It's funny now, but back in the day, he was not smiling. He'd tell me that all the time. You're disrespectful. And I would just be like, yo, like, I'm just talking. What are you talking about? Like, you sensitive. Like, you need to get it together. He's like, no, you disrespectful. Right. So as I have learned my husband, would you say today, be 100? Because I'm not perfect. But in terms of me being disrespectful, am I disrespectful now? I mean, tell me the truth.
Nah, I mean, it wouldn't even be something that would actually come up for me to say. Like, no.
No, it's not an issue. Real talk.
Real talk.
Yeah. But that's not because I've changed. Peep this. It's not because I've changed innately as a person. It's because I know my husband and I've adjusted. And some of the ways that I flow and I get down when I'm talking to other people, I don't do that with him because it doesn't work with him. I am Iana. I am who I am. And other people will receive it and be like, girl, dang, okay, I got you. But he's not going to. And he knows the same thing for me. So to be a good coach, you have to know who you're coaching. And you have to know what's going to push them up and what's going to push them down, what's going to open them up and what's going to shut them down. So make sure that you are a coach for your partner. And if you're never doing that, yeah, it ain't working. Yeah.
I need to work on that. Because my wife, she'll often say to me,
from your perspective.
I do. I'm like,
I coach you
dude,
from
what
yours.
are you doing? Like, I'm coaching you, like, like I was coached.
You coach
not
me.
by you, but like I was coached.
What are you doing?
Yeah, I'm straight going. Like I'm trying to antagonize. I'm trying to like agitate you towards elevation.
Does that work for me?
Like,
I don't understand that.
I'm trying to get you to take a real deep, hard look at yourself and make some movement. I'm trying to push you, trying to propel you.
Yeah.
Through
sustained criticism.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dude, do I come at you like that?
No, you don't.
I'm like, nah, that don't work for me.
And then I'd be like,
I just reject it.
And then I'd be like, you should.
Yeah. And then I'd be like, I think in my mind, I don't say this to you. Think in my mind, you say that. But when I come with it, you're like, yeah, I'm done with this conversation. That's his favorite thing to say. I'm done with this conversation. I'm like, yeah, you say you can take it, but you're not here for it, right? And at the end of the day, the bottom line is this: some of us are more sensitive than others. Some of us, have certain strengths in terms of being able to receive feedback. Some of us need help and work with that. But there are many roles that you must play. There are many roles that you must submit to in your relationship. And if you just don't know that, if you're not working towards it, if you're not strengthening some of those things, you're all wrong. You're just off. And so I want you, if nothing else, going forward to tomorrow, for the rest of the week, I want you to start thinking about what role do you need to work on the most? Like for real. Where do you need to grow? Where do you need to stretch yourself? Because the place that you can stretch yourself the most will not only bless your partner significantly, but it will grow you, because that's how God designed relationships. Strong, healthy, productive relationships don't only bless your partner, but they help you to get the skills you need to get. Agitated, irritated, not feeling it. Stop waiting for a feeling, right? The feeling ain't gonna happen.
Yeah.
You just gonna have to do it frustrated.
Or it might come, but it won't be sustained.
It won't be sustained. You know what I mean? It's just not gonna happen. Mm-hmm. And so at the end of the day, you have to be willing to submit to the roles of a good, healthy wife, of a good, healthy husband, of two people who are committed to one another. You have to be willing to submit and understand that submission is not a dirty word. Mm-hmm. Submission is a part of being a mature individual. In every area of your life, in some way, you must submit. You got, what they say, sugar issues. You better submit and put that fried chicken down. Oh, you got blood pressure stuff. You better stop getting that canned food with all that sodium. Submit. You better get out there and exercise, right? We're submitting all day, every day. And so it's no difference in our relationship. No difference.
Can you submit and give me a kiss?
I can. Wow, that was kind of good. You said, hey, can you submit and get in the relationship? He just kind of wooed me right there. He's trying to set me up after this. Can you submit and give me a kiss? Mm-hmm. I like that.
You do?
Yes, I do. This is good. Was it good?
Mm-hmm. It was good.
It was good. Y'all, we hope that this has been of help to you. We hope that you got something from it. Continue to put your comments in. I love it, Carmen. I see your comment. And just make sure that you're focusing on growing yourself and all the different things that you need to do, be, and become. Not just for your boo, but for you. For real. For real.
All right, y'all. So again, tune in next Thursday, Relationship Thursdays. And also, we only have, 3 or 4? 3 or 4 slots left.
I don't know.
For our marriage retreat in October. So we got a marriage retreat in October. Go to courageouscouplesretreat.com. Courageouscouplesretreat.com. It's going to be A fabulous experience.
14 couples.
Yeah, 14 couples total.
Including us. Including
left.
us.
Yeah, 3 couples left. 3 spaces left.
I can't wait.
Yeah, it's gonna be nice. It's gonna be in Pennsylvania. Go ahead and get your slot, y'all.
At the Aquaba Mansion. Go to the website, courageouscouplesretreat.com, so you can get more information. You can see some of the pictures of the space where we're going to be. And if
it's a 2-day retreat,
it's a weekend retreat. And if the love you too, Erska. If you have any questions, particularly around how to put down that deposit, message us here on Facebook. We'll assist you with that. We just need you to get that deposit in so that we can make sure you get your spot, because they are almost gone. Almost gone. All right, guys, don't forget that at the end of the day, none of this means anything. And I don't care how much insight you got. If you don't do nothing with it, you ain't really doing nothing. You're just a collector of information. So in order for this stuff to be effective, then you have to what? And we will put the link in the comments, Michael. We will do that for sure. Stop playing.
And start pushing, y'all.
Start pushing. Peace, y'all.
All right, peace, y'all.